Salutations, my friends. I am Arthnow, the Prince of Tintagel. In the 6th century, a time that is widely associated with King Arthur, I ruled Cornwall. The stone in which I pulled my sword, Excalibur, out of was also found in Tintagel, a place that is associated with King Arthur, many years after. On the stone it was inscribed, Arthnow, father of a descendant of Cole, has had this built. My father could have been Uther Pendragon, who is said to be the father of King Arthur. The name Arthnow could have been a derivative of the name Arthur. Therefore, I am King Arthur, and I am Arthnow.
Now hold up a minute. I am Lucius Artorius Castus. In the 2nd century, I led an attachment of the Roman legion that consisted of horse riding, scale mail wearing, and sword and lance wielding warriors. My band of cavalrymen used a bronze dragon head on our standards, so the victories achieved by my battalion may have been linked to the cognomen Pendragon, for King Arthur also used a dragon on his standards. The name Arthur may have possibly been derived from the Roman name Artorius, which is my name. And since I was the only significant figure in Britain during this time, I'm the only possible figure that could have been linked to that name Arthur, clearly making me the true King Arthur.
One possible location of King Arthur's Camelot is Tintagel Castle, which is located in the village of Tintagel in Cornwall, England. Geoffrey of Monmouth wrote in his story, The History of Kings of Britain, that King Arthur was born in Cornwall at Tintagel Castle. Also, a 1,500-year-old piece of slate was found at Tintagel Castle that read, Artonu, father of a descendant of Cole, has had this made. King Cole is one of Arthur's ancestors, according to Geoffrey of Monmouth. The dramatic setting of Tintagel Castle fits the romantic description of Arthur's Camelot, and pottery was also found at Tintagel Castle that originated in the 5th and 6th centuries, creating the belief that Tintagel was inhabited during the Romano-British period. Based on these facts, Tintagel Castle in Cornwall, England, was the location of King Arthur's Camelot.
Another possible location for Camelot is Cadbury Castle, located in South Cadbury, Somerset, England. It is an isolated hill of limestone and sandstone. The summit is 500 feet above sea level. The base is densely wooded, which causes the banks to crumble and lose their shapes. The plateau top is 18 acres. The break in the hill is shown as the original gateway by Arthur's Well. The path up the hill is demonstrated by the Black Road. The first piece of evidence that supports the claim that Cadbury Castle could be Camelot is during the middle 1950s, part of the enclosure was excavated, and local archaeologist Mrs. Mary Harfield picked up the flints and potsherds that were found in the ground, and Dr. Raleigh Radford recognized the pottery to be like the pottery he found at Tintagel, which proved that somebody lived on Cadbury Hill at the time of Arthur, and it was most likely someone of wealth and standing that could import the luxury goods. The second piece of evidence was from the formation of the Camelot Research Committee, which carried out large-scale excavations from 1966 to 1970 of Cadbury Hill. It was led by Leslie Alcock. The results showed that it was clear that British Celts of the Iron Age had built the earthwork defenses and reconstructed them during Roman times. The third piece of evidence was found from Arthur's Palace, which is the highest part of the hill. It was discovered that there was foundations of a timber hall which was 63 feet by 34 feet in dimensions. The walls were made from post holes cut in the bedrock. There was a trench that showed where a partition had divided it into large and small rooms. It was most important because a defensive system was found in the hills, and it was made of stone and ancient timber, which showed that there was an ancient civilization on Cadbury Castle. But Arthur's name was not found on anything that was discovered at Cadbury Castle, so it does not link Cadbury Castle to Arthur. But the Camelot Research Committee concludes that someone with great money and worth lived at Cadbury at the correct time of Arthur, even though it may not have been him.
According to Karen Farrington, when Dr. Geoffrey Wainwright wrote The History of the Kings of Britain, He stated King Arthur's birthplace as Tintagel, but he had actually mistranslated from an earlier text the term Dindagel, which was an Old Welsh word meaning double-banked hill fort. This description doesn't match Tintagel's setup. Also, the stone that had been found had been reused as a drain cover, and it was broken, so the actual purpose for the original slate is quite foggy. The castle located at Tintagel was actually built in the 12th century, which is too late, and to have been associated with the real King Arthur. Therefore, Arthnow and his homeland of Tintagel couldn't have alone been the real King Arthur and the real Camelot.
Go. Problems with Artorius being the true King Arthur are him having been alive during the 2nd century in Britain, whereas King Arthur was alive in about the 6th century. He was Roman, whereas King Arthur was Welsh. And Artorius had a title of Dux, which means he was commander of an army, whereas Arthur was Rex, meaning king.
According to the information that we have gathered, neither of these people, nor either of the places, could have been the location of Camelot or the real King Arthur. He could have in fact been a combination of many of the people, and also at the places that they had been born, that made the myth of King Arthur a legend.
An invitation from the Queen! It's at your service! Okay, I'm done.
My name is Lucius Artorius Castus. I was a 2nd century Roman commander of a legion. Dang it!